G'day guys and welcome to Retrospectreviews. I'm Vince and today we're back with the Atari Flashback 50th edition, the base model. Now there is the gold edition which has 130 games, so 20 more games plus 2 Atari paddles. Now I have seen people on YouTube add over 1,000 new Atari games to the gold edition, but can you do it to the standard base edition? Now this is technically a lot cheaper and doesn't come with the paddles and 20 less games, as I said. So there's a few games that I wanted to add to it that I enjoy playing. So disclaimer, I haven't tried this and I don't know if anyone else has tried this, so there's a good possibility at the end of this video the Atari will be bricked or changed in a way that I can't change it back. So if you're going to do this, probably watch to the end of the video just to make sure that it actually worked. And there's no guarantee it's going to work for you. So what do we need also to do this, to add more games to the Atari Flashback? So we're going to need a good, reliable USB stick. Now I'm hoping this is one of them. When I say good, reliable USB stick, one that actually is going to work with the Atari Flashback. So there's a good chance that I might have to swap this out through the video. I've got several others to try, but I'm going to try this one. Also, you're going to need one of these OTG, I think they call them, or on-the-go USB. So it comes with a micro USB in and out and a USB in. So we're going to need this because this is the only way we're going to be able to connect a USB stick and also power the Atari Flashback. But more of that in a moment. So let's jump over to the computer, transfer the files to the USB stick that we need, and then we'll jump to the Atari where I will attempt to load the necessary firmware and the extra games onto the Atari. So here we are on the computer. Before we do anything with the USB stick, we do need to grab a couple of files from Atari Age. I'll leave a link in the description of that will bring you to Atari Age and exactly where you have to, the page that you have to download the link or the files from. So the first one we'll get is this one from Brad from the 80s. Now if you scroll down, there is a link here. So you want to click on that link and it will download. So most likely you'll download in your download folder. It is a zip file, so you have to get yourself some kind of unzipper. I use Win7 or just the local Windows. So here you go, the folder is opened up. So what you want to do is just copy these 3 files, move them across to your folder. Now I've already got these in here, so it's going to ask if I want to replace them. I'm just going to skip those at the moment because I've already downloaded this, but that's all you got to do. So you download that into a folder. I like to put it on the desktop just to make it easier. So now you've got that, we can close this one down. We've moved them over to a folder. We're going to be able to find them. So let's move on. The second file you'll have to get, you'll click on the link, go to this post by Draxon. Now he's created a bundle file here called Atari, which is an acronym for Atari, Text, Art, and Rob Injector. Now what you got to do, you can come and read this later, but scroll down and you want to click on this file here. Now this is going to take a little bit longer than the last file to download because it is full of hundreds of Atari games. So once that's downloaded, unzip it and transfer your files once again to the Atari. I've called it the Atari update folder, but please yourself of what you like to call it. I've left it on my desktop just to make it easier to find. So once you've done that, you're inside this your folder on your desktop. It should look like this. You should have 3 files called Atari update.img, mount SDINI, startup.sh, and of course Atari VX. Now we'll come back to this one a little bit later. Now we've got all those files, what we want to do is format the USB stick. So what we want to do is find where your USB stick is and right click on it and go to format, and it should bring up the format table here. Now you can name this anything you like Atari, just so you know what it is if you ever put it in. And you can allocate whatever size you want, but I just leave it as it is and click start. So you'll get your warning about obviously formatting. It will erase everything, and just click OK. Now it shouldn't take that long to format. Okay, so format is now complete. So we can close that down. And now what we want to do is open up the USB stick drive folder. So we click on that. Now it'll say it is empty. So now we go back and open the Atari folder, which I did not want to close, but it closed anyhow. Now the only things we want at the moment on the USB stick is these three folders. We want the Atari update image, the mount SD image, and the startup image. So we just grab those and move them across. So it should take a few minutes, a few seconds I should say, and that's it. So all we've got to do now is close this down for now and jump over to the Atari Flashback, and I'll demonstrate what these three files do over there. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the Atari Flashback on, so you guys can just see again what it looks like originally. So we'll just turn that on. Okay, so that is the menu of the base Atari Flashback. So I haven't done nothing to it yet. I have played a couple of games in last week's videos, a few weeks back videos, so that's probably the only thing. It's probably saved that, but other than that, this is what it looks like. So now let's see if we can upgrade it. I guess that's the best way. Alright, the first thing we got to do is plug in this on-the-go USB. So take the power out. That's the power cord. Plug this into the power here. Okay, that's in. Now the original power cord has to go in here. Okay. Then we just plug the USB stick in like so. Now let's see if this works. Alright, so we'll turn it on. So we got power. Now if this is set up correct, should have, yeah. So upgrade firmware has been detected. Do you want to upgrade the console? So we just use the joystick here in the left port, and we want to push it over to yes. Okay, so that's going. So we don't want to upgrade again because we've already done that. So we now push to the right and do no. Now this should be updated to look like the Atari Gold Edition. Okay, so now we've got Atari Flashback Gold. Now let's see, this should have over 30 games, but I know for a fact it should now have Pitfall 2. So let's see if we get to Pitfall. There we go, we got Pitfall 2. This is one of the main things. Now we can stop here if you're happy with just an extra 20 games. But the next step, we could add our own ROMs, or let's get this started. Okay, so we're playing Pitfall 2 on the base model. That's something I always did as a kid. I don't know why. You can actually dodge that bird, and there's a gold nugget at the end of this run if you wanted to. Right, so the question is, let's get back out of here now. Menu, quick game. Oh, we'll get right back to the main menu. Oh. Okay, my question is, what happens if we just go back? Will it go back to the standard Atari Flashback without the USB, or will it now be forever Atari Flashback Gold? Either way, at this stage, I am not too sad about. Okay, so I've disconnected the OTG and the USB stick because I just want to see what happens now that we've updated the firmware. Is the original firmware still on there, or now do we have an Atari Gold? So we'll turn it on, let's see what happens. So it stays an Atari Flashback Gold. I guess if we updated the firmware, I don't know if it kept the old firmware, or we now have a permanent Atari Flashback Gold. So be warned, if you do this, there's a good chance that your Atari Flashback base will be forever an Atari Flashback Gold. But I'm happy. It's got Pitfall 2 on it. But can we now add all those extra games? Let's find out. So we'll take the USB stick. I've got to take it back to the computer. Let's see if we can add our own ROMs, and then we'll see if we can add that big collection of over 1,000 games. Okay, so now we've updated the firmware. We've come back to the computer to add our own ROMs, games maybe that we might want to add. And as you can see in the folder, on the USB stick now, there's a couple of new files. There's an emulator file, a ROM file. But what we got to do first is get rid of this startup.sh and Atari update img, because we don't, when we plug the USB stick in again, we don't want to update the firmware again, and we don't want to back up the files that we've already backed up. So we can delete this one and delete this one off the USB stick. So we just delete those. Okay, so now we want to add our own ROMs. So how we go about that is create a new folder and call it games. And then we could just drop in any of the games ROMs that we want. Now you can get them anywhere on the internet. So I've grabbed some ROMs here that I've just downloaded previously. So all you gotta do is drag them and drop them into that folder called games on your USB stick. Now you do gotta remember, make sure none of your files have any spaces. So when I downloaded alphabeam with ernie.a26, it was alpha space beam space with space Ernie. I've taken all the spaces out because even though the Atari Flash will recognize it as a file, it won't actually play it. So just make sure any ROMs that you put on yourself, the names don't have any spaces, and that it ends in a .a26. So that's all you got to do there. Okay, so we're back at the Atari Flashback. Now I've only just added the games folder at this stage because I want to add a few of my own ROMs that I want to try out for games that I don't believe are in the list. And I have the originals, but I don't want to unseal them. So this gives me the opportunity. But let's see if this works. So we turn it back on. Okay, so what we're looking for is in the list on the left where it says my favorites. Down the bottom, you can see now extend USB drive. So that should be where I have all my games that I've added. So I've added these ROMs myself. So let's see if Big Bird Egg Catch works. Here we go. I don't know if this actually is going to work with the joystick because this has a special controller. Nah, Big Bird's not moving. So I've got one egg, but I can't move because it doesn't work with the standard joystick. But I do wonder if I stuck, will my original controller for this game work now? Let's find out. So I've tried the kids controller on the Flashback and it doesn't seem to work. And I've got the original game, but it's sealed and I don't want to open it. So I haven't been able to play these because the standard joystick doesn't seem to work with these. But if anyone out there knows how to get this going without using the original hardware, let me know. But yeah, it definitely needs the kids controller. Alright, so that, so far we've reflashed the firmware. Now we've got an Atari Flashback and we've been able to add our own games. So now let's add, jump back, take the USB out, jump back to the computer, and let's add over 1,000 games to the Atari Flashback, now Gold 50th Anniversary. So now we've got this folder in called Games. The other thing now is we want to add that folder, we'll get rid of this, we want to add that folder with all those ROMs on it that we downloaded. So we've unzipped that, we've moved that unzipped folder over to our folder on the desktop. So the first thing we got to do is change this ROM folder to, well, you technically can delete it, but if you don't want to delete it, you can just rename it. I just renamed it ROM old. Then find the file that you downloaded, so it's unzipped out of, which is the Atari VX. So double click on that and you should come across a folder called ROMs. Now if you click into that, you'll see there's thousands and thousands, or hundreds of games, not thousands, but hundreds of games with all their pictures. So what we want to do is then drag that over and drop it in here. So this might take a little bit of time because obviously it is a pretty big file, so we'll just wait for that to finish moving over. Now I've transferred all those ROM games over to the USB stick. It is time to head back to the Atari Flash and check out all the new games we got to play. Right, we're back from the computer. Now we've added the huge folder with hundreds and hundreds of Atari games. So let's plug this in and see what happens. Yeah, let's turn the Atari Flashback on now. Now, this will take a little bit of time. There is lots of games to load, so it's not going to be as quick as it was when we first plugged it, turned it on, when it only had 110 games and then 130 games. So now it's going to have 1,000 or more games. So, okay, it's reading. So as you can see, you can already see, just in the beginning menu, we've got 21 blue, we've got 1942, 1975, 32 in one cartridge there at the beginning. So that was a success. So now we got endless hours of fun. So now, like I said, we've got hundreds and hundreds. We got the A team. Let's see how many folders. There's 91 folders. Granted, the last one is just one file, but yeah. Other than that, there is, what's that, 4, 5, 10 games per folder. So you've got 90 folders with 10 games in them. So that you've got an endless amount of games. You'll never, to me, and said, oh, I did the Atari Flashback and I had found nothing to play. Well then, okay, what's going on here? Oh, I pressed something and it went nuts. But anyhow, so let's play something. Apparently this has the updated version of Donkey Kong. So I wonder what page that would be on. Oh, did I go past Donkey Kong? Oh, there it is. So, I think, which one's the new one? I think it's this one. Donkey Kong Ape has kidnapped. Okay. Yep, this is the new Donkey Kong. Nothing like the original Atari 2600 Donkey Kong, if you remember that. I was so disappointed when Mum brought that home, and I knew there was something wrong with it, but I couldn't put my finger on it, because back in the day, you just trusted that the graphics were fantastic. But yeah, I then remember going to family friends, and they had a ColecoVision, and their Donkey Kong blew the Atari one out of the water. So yeah, I was very, very confused when I was a kid when we had Donkey Kong on the Atari 2600. Looked nothing like the arcade, and looked nothing like the ColecoVision version. But this one reminds me more of the ColecoVision version. Oh no, that's right, you can't climb when you got the ladder. I need... Quick! Oh, that was lucky. There's a lot more ladders on this one than there used to be. Oh, which way is that barrel gonna go? Oh no, climb! Got to the top. So now he climbs up higher. Okay. Right. Anyhow, not here to play this. I will leave you guys to explore the 90 so folders of Atari games now that you've updated your Atari Flashback. So let's wrap this up. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope it's helped you out. Now, to answer my question at the beginning of the video, can you upgrade the Atari Flashback 50th anniversary based model? And the answer is yes. Of course, you are upgrading it to the gold edition, so you get those extra 20 games regardless if you have the USB stick plugged in or not, which I'm happy with, because Pitfall 2 is really one of the games that I wanted to try out. But I am ecstatic now that I have over 1,000 games of Atari 2600 games to try out. Just keep in mind, the USB stick you use, that needs to stay with the Atari Flashback if you want to play those 1,000 extra games. But if you're happy with just the extra 20 games, then you don't need the USB stick. So maybe have a USB stick that you're not too worried about using it for other things later on. Regards to the OTG USB cable or on-the-go USB cable, you can buy that off eBay or Amazon and maybe a few other stores around depending on your country and where you are. I bought mine off eBay. I just thought it was a little bit easier than getting it off Amazon. But yeah, I think I only paid a couple of bucks for it, so it wasn't this wasn't a super expensive exercise. Probably buying the Atari was the probably most expensive thing that I brought. In the comments down below, let me know if this worked for you or if you had any issues. Has this now made you excited again for the Atari 2600? It definitely has for me, and it looks beautiful on the LCD. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and share this video, because it really does help out the channel. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I upload a new video every week. Well, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.